Well, good morning. Welcome back to the media channel. If you're if you're looking through on the socials, then great to have you with us. We're live at the moment on Facebook and on multiple YouTube channels as well. So if you're there, then please drop us a comment in the comment channel, and we'll try our very best to get back to you. Today, we're going to be talking about our webinar preview. So this Saturday, 20th of June, Ian and I are going to be doing another webinar together at 10 a.m. We always run a flagship webinar every Saturday morning, 10 a.m., covering different subjects. But the core behind all of this is what we call the Monopoly Game Changer. That is our flagship protocol, consists of different components within that. Not going to get into too much detail about that today, but what I want to talk about today with you, Ian, is just to very, very briefly pick your brains on the content for Saturday, because you're going to be talking about mortgage discharge. And how that, in parallel with the Monopoly Game Changer protocol and obviously the Clifford protocol for signature credit tax redirection, it is an absolute game changer for people. So I would say when it comes to mortgages, many people just assume, don't they, that when they take out a mortgage, the bank's lending them money from existing customer deposits. But you've very, very cleverly revealed and uncovered that modern sort of monetary economics has exposed this as an illusion. It's not what we're saying. It's what people like Professor Richard Werner are saying. It's what the Bank of England is saying. So what I want to do here is I want to break down what actually happens at that banking ledger level, the exact second that somebody signs a loan agreement, whether it's a mortgage, credit card, or whatever it may be, but specifically mortgages, because that's what we're going to cover on Saturday. So maybe the best place to start, and again, we're only going to give you just a sneak peek today, guys, so we're not going to go into too much detail, but let's start with where it all starts, the ex nihilo credit creation, this banking paradigm, and where does your energy come into this? So Ian, how does the banking system create mortgage credit ex nihilo out of nothing? And why does that position the borrower as the actual funding source of that entire transaction?
Yeah, well, we operate within what's called a money of account system. So it's accounting ledgers. There is no money of substance. There's nothing tangible of substance backing money. There is just ledgers, and the ledgers are created. Basically, 97% of all of the so-called money that circulates in the world and all of the debt springs into existence through the issuance of debt, and everything is debt. So when you sign up for a loan, mortgage, or credit card, you are effectively creating more debt. It's not pre-existing. There is no, group of savers on one side of the bank financing mortgages on the other side of the bank. It doesn't work like that. Everything is a debt. When you sign for a loan, credit card, or mortgage, the signature is actually creating a deposit of signature credit energy. So the signature is the commitment. It is the contract. It is a negotiable instrument, or the issuance of a negotiable instrument, which the banks take in as a deposit. So they're taking in human energy as a promise to pay in the future. They match that with a matching liability, which is what the ex nihilo credit really refers to. The banks create the money through lending, and this is confirmed by Professor Richard Werner, who's written numerous research reports, the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve. It's basically the money system is a debt-based system, and it all springs into existence when a signature is put on a contract of some sort, which creates a debt equal to the value of the signature. So $1 million mortgage springs into existence. The alleged borrower signs a mortgage contract that creates a promise to pay in the future of $1 million plus interest. The bank takes that promise, creates a matching liability. So they've got an asset on one side of $1 million, which is promise. Excuse me. On the other side, they've got the liability, of 1 million. One matches the other. That's your double entry bookkeeping, and basically that's how the whole system works. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat.
Not to worry, not to worry. So once a mortgage note signed, then it doesn't just kind of sit there in the bank's vault and they lend me the money. It enters, what you're saying is it enters this securitization pipeline. So what I want to do is I want to look at what happens there as well in terms of what happens next. And then particularly, I want to touch on this IRS tax ledger. There's a tax ledger there that you call the smoking gun, isn't there? So let's talk a little bit about that and how that actually works, so that people can understand then, well, once I've signed this mortgage note at the bank and they then, quote unquote, lent me the money for buying my house or whatever it may be, which we know does not happen because they can't do that. What's this 945 tax ledger, and why do you call it the smoking gun?
Well, the banks operate as nominees. So nominee is another word for a fiduciary. So they hold the note. So that note that's been created, that $1 million note, mortgage note, gets sold from the clearing banks that create the ex nihilo credit. They sell the notes that come with interest, a promise to pay interest as well as the 1 million back. They sell those notes to the investment banks who are operating as nominees, like middlemen, who then tranche them up, put them into tranches, use another nominee structure called seed and company, predominantly, that holds these tranches. And the banks then use the tranches, the value of that tranche of mortgages. They can expand their profits by using those notes or those securitization notes as collateral. They can get more credit. They can use that to trade with, make more profit, etc., etc. But in order for them to do this, because they are debtors themselves, ironically, all the banks are debtors on the entire monopoly board, which is like a worldwide trust. They have to pay tax for the use of the energy that backs the notes, and that tax is paid on their 945 tax modules. So when you see a bank's 945 tax module, you know that they are paying taxes for the use of the human energy, and it's all paid via that tax module, which they vastly underfund because they don't really want people to know that they're paying taxes on that module.
Right. So this is the big thing, isn't it? This 945 ledger. If they owned those securities, why would they be paying taxes on them? That's the question that you want to be asking yourself. Why? Why is the bank paying taxes on my mortgage note? So let's kind of move into understanding this 945 ledger and how to leverage that, how to recoup those taxes back. Because if we're talking about mortgage discharge or discharging that debt that was created, I think understanding the banking trap is the first step, isn't it? Because this has to be down to accurate execution in my mind. So you talk about the Clifford Protocol as the engine, and you talk about using a specialized 98 series trust, and that doing this in the right configuration, doing it in the right way, just completely rewrites the rules for people in terms of what they can do moving forwards from maybe where they are now. Maybe you're sitting there watching this and you're struggling to even keep up with your monthly mortgage payments. I don't know. Maybe you're just sitting there thinking, well, I'm okay paying my monthly mortgage, but if I can discharge it, then great. Why would I not want to do that? So where does the Clifford Protocol come into this? And what part does the 98 series trust play in all of this as well?
Well, the banks are operating as nominees. They hold these mortgage securities in these tranches as nominees. They pay taxes for the use of the credit energy. But as soon as the 98 series international grantor trust sets up and identifies the mortgage note held within a tranche, and the tranche has a CUSIP number, as long as that forensic research has been done and you can link it all together, then the grantor trust can file 1099 OID, and the OID tax filing creates a shift in the ledgers. So it corrects the accounting ledger on that mortgage. No longer can the investment bank claim that they are the creditors. They're not, because the filing of the 1099 OID, the foreign grantor trust the creditor and discharges the ledger on that particular mortgage. So that's how you discharge a mortgage. You create a foreign grantor's trust, you identify where the mortgage is, which tranche is it in, which bank is paying taxes on it, and then you use a 1099 OID, which has to be filed by a tax professional. You can't file it yourself, not in our model. And that's all done, it's all facilitated. That event of filing the 1099 OID discharges the mortgage, which is just really a rearrangement of the ledger, because it's all money of account. There is no money of substance, it's just ledgering, changing and correcting the ledgers. And that's what happens. Now the bank can't claim that they are the creditor, because you've identified that they were paying taxes on the mortgage as a nominee. That's the smoking gun. And then you've discharged it through the foreign grantor's trust by filing the 1099 OID. So once you've done that and you've evidenced the mortgage has been discharged, and if you do it in a court, if you do it by filing into a courtroom or a court process where the indentured trustee basically is answerable for the fact that they have to give up their status or their presumed status as the creditor. They have to admit that they are no longer the creditor at all on that mortgage. In fact, they never were the creditor, and the mortgage has been discharged. And it's done through a court filing process.
Okay. So assuming I did that and I discharged my mortgage, where does the Monopoly Game Changer protocol come into this? Because the theme for our webinar on Saturday is mortgage discharge, but also this parallel Monopoly Game Changer protocol that runs alongside that. How does that complement me discharging my mortgage?
Well, you've got a double whammy here. So let's say there was $1 million mortgage currently in play, and you set up a grantor's trust, foreign grantor's trust, file 1099 OID. That would discharge the $1 million mortgage, but then there would be $1 million of tax redirection that the grantor's trust will be expecting to receive as a tax redirection. So not only have you discharged the mortgage of $1 million, but you're going to receive $1 million in tax redirection back into the grantor trust. So that's the double whammy. And if you are paying the mortgage now and you wanted to discharge it using this methodology, then of course you'd be saving all of the mortgage installments that you'd ordinarily be paying going forward.
Yeah. Plus the redirection of $1 million in taxes back into your grantor trust that you can use the following year. So hopefully, guys, you can see just how powerful this is. This is financial architecture at its best. And that is what Ian does. So if you want to learn more about that and how you can benefit from not just being able to discharge your mortgage, but also being able to recoup the taxes against the face value of that mortgage as well, and do that every single year moving forwards, create that kind of infinity loop that you talk about, Ian, where you can recoup what's been used moving forwards year on year on year, then we would love to see you on Saturday, where we're going to go into an awful lot more detail about this particular subject. So if mortgage discharge is what you're interested in, and then you're also interested in how can I set myself up for the future? And then how can I protect myself moving forwards as well? How can I protect my assets that I'm going to be building, then you need to register for the webinar. If you want to do that, you need to go here, roswebinars.is. One thing I will say is that we always get more people registered than we actually have seats for. So just be mindful of that. Right now, we're recording this on Tuesday, the 16th of June. So you've got between now and Saturday, the 20th, to register. I would recommend you do that early, because we can only take 1,000 people on that webinar. And as you can imagine, mortgages is a very, very popular subject for people. So if there's any way that they can see relief from that, this is going to be a very, very popular and a very highly registered webinar. But depending on how many registrations we get, we can only let 1,000 people in the door. So that's the website you want to go to. If you're a member here at the Republic of Old Souls and you have your members area, you can also register straight from your members area. And again, if you've got friends, family, people who have mortgages, who may be interested in this subject matter as well, please invite them along too. You'll have a webinar registration link in your members area that you can use. We won't go into too much detail about how that works on today's episode, but essentially you can start to earn credits against the protocols that we have. For every person that you refer, $100 will go into a digital wallet for you in your members area, and that can be used to offset the actual protocols themselves when it comes to the donations that we have for the protocols. So there's lots of ways that you can get involved with this by simply helping other people as well as helping yourself. So that's all I've got to say, Ian. Any final thoughts before we let everybody go, aside from come to the webinar?
Yeah, in addition to the webinar, there's the ROS Media channel where you can come and watch interviews that Andy's doing with me on all different subjects. We've got the technical library at Ecclesia Law Institute, which is full of technical research papers that I've written. And there will be an avatar, both one for the Monopoly Game Changer avatar, but there'll also be one for Mortgage Discharge, which will be launched in due course. And we're hoping to make the Monopoly Game Changer avatar available for this weekend, because we had one, it lasted about 2-3 days. It was censored, so we've had to re-engineer it, and hopefully we'll be able to relaunch it by this Saturday. But then there'll be the Mortgage Discharge avatar, which if you want to ask questions about how it works, why it works, and what's it all about, then you'll be able to do that at your leisure.
Okay, so I hope you heard that, guys. We launched that avatar, and within 3 days it was censored. Why? Because of the content that we were delivering. That should tell you a lot. That should tell you that this is something the banks do not want you to know about. Why? Because they want you to carry on paying that interest and paying those monthly mortgage fees for the next 25 years. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to know that you are owed back the taxes against those mortgages, and that you can even discharge the mortgage itself. So if you want to learn more about that, come to us on Saturday. As Ian said, ecclesialaw.is is where all the technical papers are. There's about 70 different technical reports that Ian's written on a multitude of different subjects, including mortgage discharge. If you want to see more of Ian and I's content together, then go to the ROS Media platform. But really and truly, we would love to see you register here and join us both live Saturday morning, 10 a.m., where we're going to be doing a deep dive on this. So have a great day. Thank you for watching today, and we look forward to seeing you on the Saturday morning webinar. Bye for now, guys.